Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse is the movie of the summer, possibly the movie of the year.
Oh yeah.
It's everything about comic book movies and animation done right in one single stroke. It's two parts a movie about what it means to be Spider-Man, as well as a very energetic coming of age story.
But all that to be said, and to be very clear, they really got your boy Miles fucked up out here.
Yeah.
Welcome to Culture Core Academy. I'm Caleb. This is Ping. And as we usually do with these reviews, we're just going to get this out of the way real quick right here and now. We talking about this movie, y'all. We spoiling, talking about all of
Yeah,
it.
this is happening. Like we're telling spoiler warning. And let me just add that we're not going to spend a lot of time breaking down too many specific Easter eggs that go throughout the film. There's plenty of channels that do that.
Yep.
We're not going to be one of them on this one.
Nope.
We recommend, first and foremost, Screen Crush. Screen Crush,
For
New
sure.
Rock Stars, Emergency Awesome, and Heavy Spoilers. They'll get you straight. This is going to be an opinion piece. But first, the recap. We start out in Gwen's universe, which is really cool because they do this meta thing where they're not only doing a direct nod to the Spider-Gwen comics with the origin story remaining intact and the first appearances and what have you. They get the art from her co-creator and her comic books, and they start immediately using that art along with the animation to tell the story.
One of the nicest touches about the movie. It really was.
So Gwen promptly quits her band.
Immediately.
And after this is post, origin story with, Peter Parker being the Lizard. And her dad sucks, dude. Her dad,
Not great.
we're going to get to him later, but her dad sucks. And this is when we finally get to see Spider-Man 2099 and Jessica Drew Spider-Woman.
Yep. Issa, yep. Precisely. Out of that whole deal, Gwen basically dips off into the multiverse with them. And I don't blame her because her dad definitely had that Glock drawn on her.
Yes.
So after that, then pivot back over to your boy Miles. And we see Miles is, honestly, he's struggling with a very classic Spider-Man trope. And that's trying to balance being a hero, but yet also still being this teen who still has curfew and parents to answer to and school to do.
Yeah.
And so, we start out seeing him kind of juggle that very poorly. We see our introductory battle with him.
Hey, we left out one thing though. Cuz got a B in Spanish. Ooh.
Yeah, that wasn't good. That wasn't a good counselor meeting.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't like how she snitched on him like that. That was messed up. You see this running theme of folks really not having Miles back in this movie, and I don't like it.
That's a big recurring theme. It's a massive recurring theme. So we see him struggling to juggle this whole situation, really embodied in this kind of one whole scene where he's trying to get the cake to his parents.
Yeah.
For that whole celebration for his dad, and that's failing. And we also, at this early beginning, see him run into our, I guess, antagonist of the film, the Spot, and their whole bodega showdown.
Yeah.
Because
Beef patty.
with the, my dude, it was so ridiculous. He's just there, microwave beef patty. The Spot is out here on some real low level.
That was Ziggy Marley.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Spy out here on some real low level ish, trying to, hit up the ATM of all things. But yeah,
Dropping that ball.
yeah, drops that ball, doesn't get the ATM. But you know what? Miles doesn't successfully deliver that cake to that event. You see him struggling and he's failing on that front with things. From all that, we then kind of segue again, and we end up with Gwen.
Yeah, Gwen
Kind of coming
drops
back into
in.
the equation.
Yeah, Gwen jumps back in on Miles, showing out. Straight up showing out. Takes him on this little whirlwind and stuff. both of the she kind of drops the ball right here too, meeting the parents.
She was talked about badly after.
Yeah, yeah. That could have went better. And they also screw up what Gwen was supposed to be doing, which was actually monitoring and possibly apprehending the spot. But she was over here gallivanting with Senor Morales.
Careless.
And they screw up and get, what, she gets drugged to another dimension.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. They just totally
And so does
fumble
Miles.
that whole fumble that whole deal.
Yeah.
They fumble that whole deal. We see Miles end up getting taken in to and meeting Spider-Man 2099 and the Council of the Spideys, if you will.
Yeah, that's after Mumbattan though when we meet, because he meets Spider-Man India and Hobie before that, and he meets Hobie on the Spider-Man India universe.
Yes.
And we got to talk about one thing we do got to talk about is your boy Spot hitting up all the universes. The first one being like a Steve Ditko-esque universe with Ben Daydots, and like the next one being straight up Lego Spider-Man with J. Jonah Jameson as a Nexus being. I'm calling it. It's
Forever present.
Yeah.
Honestly, that whole thing of the Spot traveling to the verses was a super fun scene.
Miss Chin.
That right there, lit.
That was a precursor to what was coming later, because that was crazy. And this letting you know off the bat that they mean business when they're doing this much universe jumping and using universe jumping as different story elements. Like one time it's a montage, another time it's momentum to push us from one part of the story to the next, and sometimes it's exposition. Like Gwen, but you don't know Gwen like this, so check this out. Like it's really crazy. It's super meta how they did this one.
Yep.
And so then, so we meet Spider-Punk. He's completely lit. Mumbattan. Spider-Man is really cool too. I gotta say that. And you could see that they're even doing more of this aspect of like using straight up animation to convey a completely different sense of even storytelling. Like you could tell it in a different universe because there's different animations.
Yep.
Or a different Spider-Man from a different universe because of his animation.
It makes such a massive difference.
Especially with Spider-Punk. That was crazy. His animation was insane. And then we get the big Easter egg scene where Miguel tells Miles about, his spider fate, the other Spider-Man signature move, which is to lose a father figure. And one thing we're going to touch on this later too, because I wonder why. That's so weird that they're making that like his canon event or describing that as his, Nexus event or, fixed point in time thing, like from What If with Doctor Strange. But didn't that happen to him with his uncle Aaron already?
I mean, that was the thing with me.
Wasn't he closer to his uncle than his dad? And that was like his.
I mean, was that not enough?
Yeah, so why wasn't that included in this? I don't understand. So this basically us getting to talk about Miguel a bit later, dude out of pocket. But yeah, Miguel says you got to let your dad die, and shows him shows him the entirety of the Spider-Verse, shows us the MCU, literally says straight up, not only calls out the MCU, yeah, not only straight up calls out the MCU, but shows us the sacred timeline being broken up from Loki season 1. We haven't really even seen that in the MCU.
He called Tom Holland Spider-Man and Strange and them some nerds.
He said that little nerd.
He made sure to be clear about how he felt on that. Right. So basically the whole thing coming out of this is that even after, Spider-Man 2099 has laid out the whole plan, I'm like, look, hey, you're going to have to suffer. This is how it is. Miles is still, again, leaning into one of his struggles with the film in finding his way and trying to do it on his own terms. He rejects all of that, and he's just like, nah, it doesn't have to be like that. I don't have to lose my dad and all of this other stuff go down that way. There's got to be another way. Like, for him, the Spider-Man ethos is more focused on the positive and finding a way out of no way versus what Miguel's Spider-Man is heavily focusing on, which is the pain and loss aspect of things.
Yeah, he's like, no, this has to happen. There's a lot of parallels from Miguel in this film to Kingpin from the last film, and like Miguel had done what Kingpin was trying to do, and that was like they didn't even use his loss as his origin story. They used that as his origin story to like sort of like tell you where he's coming from and why he's the way
Right.
he is,
Right.
which I thought was interesting. We get caught up. Miles gets really caught up with every Spider-Man in the multiverse on his ass.
One of the craziest and best scenes for
Yeah,
me personally,
insane.
out of the MCU.
Yeah.
Just like Miles escaping from the other Spideys.
Yeah, and we glanced over like all the Easter eggs were in that scene where he was giving him the exposition about the tragedy side of Spider-Man, and we literally saw another direct MCU connection. I don't care if people are trying to say like it may be. No, it's not maybe. It was Donald Glover literally as the Prowler. They had given him a costume, like they had made a Prowler costume.
Plain as day.
Yeah,
He's
so-
sitting there in it.
Yeah. And it's like present day Donald Glover. So I'm pretty sure like this Donald Glover and got messed up in some of the current multiversal shenanigans of the MCU and can easily wind up screwed off in the Spiderverse. That's like, he was in New York when all this stuff went down in No Way Home. So probably,
Yep.
Spider-Man villains were crossing universes there. So that's a perfect explanation. Probably what happened. So they get on Miles' ass. Miles gives him the jump, which I don't understand because that should tell you that Miles is real special. If he can't, if a bunch of Peter Parkers and them can't hold him, can't hold him, but he gets to what Spider Bite helps him out, and he gets to what we think is his universe. But another time that this animation is telling the story, this world is way darker. You know immediately that it's something's off, and we meet his mom and we meet his Uncle Aaron again, and this is when you start to realize that you're in a separate universe. Because at first, like people are saying that the giveaway is that his mom doesn't know who Spider-Man is, but it doesn't really code like she doesn't know who Spider-Man is. It's more like she doesn't believe him. You know what I mean? Because how did that universe never have any Spider-Man before Miles? There's still at least like a Peter Parker from there, right?
One would assume.
Yeah, so they're saying that there's no Spider-Man. I'm like, there's a Spider-Man, but or maybe there isn't. Maybe Peter Parker's something else. But then we meet Miles Morales, Miley Freeman.
This one, Senor Morales here,
Yeah, dude.
hit way different.
Yeah, Miles Morales got bodies.
And he really do. You could tell.
Yeah,
you
dude.
could tell. And this Miles from this particular verse is the Prowler of the verse.
Yeah, straight up. It is crazy too because it's like
Did not see it coming.
super metal, but.
Yeah.
And then so Gwen, I guess, gets all the cats from the first movie and some new guys, Spider-Punk and Spider-Man India. And they form a team, I guess, to go try to save Miles.
Least they could do.
Late.
Least they could do.
And that's where we pretty much end the movie. So now,
Cliffhanger.
yeah. So now we've given them, you got the info. Y'all done seen the movie. Y'all know about the Easter eggs.
Let's get to the meat.
Let's get to the meat of what we're talking about right now. This movie is heavily coded with themes of like anti-blackness, false allyship, like fatherhood, trust issues, and they weave all of that directly into the coming of age story. And I think it's done on purpose. There's a girl on TikTok called Fantastic Frankie. Y'all should check her out. She does a lot of good content.
Oh, for sure.
And she breaks it down by character and does a video with a general premise of it. And a lot of people are trying to say she's reaching, but I don't think she's reaching. I think the creators literally wove it into the story as a plot point to move the narrative along. And you can break it down by character to really see why. Because it's a lot of people in his movie who were really out of pocket. And I think let's go by character and talk about how we feel about each of these characters, because we can't really give our opinion on the entire story, because this is a story with a climax right now. It's probably gonna have another climax, but it doesn't have a resolution or a wind down, so we're not there yet.
Yeah, I feel like they did a great job of expanding upon what they had already done with Miles and getting deeper. They managed to add some more layers to them to him, but they didn't overcomplicate it. I don't think.
Yeah, it's way too many characters in the first place. Which is a flex to get to have such a great movie with this many characters having like a different front and center moments and versions of that. But let's start out with our boy. Let's start with the main. Let's start out with Miles. Just me off the rip, I think that this is one of my favorite iterations of Miles Morales. Next to, I don't really know a bad iteration of Miles Morales because I like the one from the game, from the PS4 game and the PS5 game. I like the one from the cartoon that Donald Glover ended up playing, and I love this one. So this one is my favorite out of all of them, and I love the one from the comics because he'd be on some G shit on some different stuff they ain't put out yet. Yeah.
The one from the comics is that one.
But this one is it, and I love the. Did that happen in the comics though? I don't remember a storyline where Miles became the Prowler.
I don't believe that.
Which I think that
if y'all know, hit us up.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if we're wrong about that. But I think that lent to the element of surprise for him to get that done by making that happen. That was a wild twist, and that Miles is the one I'm most interested in finding out about most. Like that's the character I can't wait to see. Like what's about to go down. I want to see how many bodies he's really.
Where are they gonna go with him?
Because he's been with Uncle Ern.
Hey, yeah, I'm very intrigued by that character.
Yeah, dude.
Very intrigued by that character, no doubt. I mean, Spider-Punk, arguably now one of the best and coolest characters in all the MCU. I mean, that's official in my opinion.
Yeah,
like just that. I mean, that character design.
By the way, we are including this in the MCU because it's literally described in the movie as MCU canon.
Yep.
In several ways. So when we say MCU, we mean MCU. We know that it's technically taking place outside the MCU, but so did like 3 of the last MCU properties. So, get off my job.
The horizons have expanded. Okay.
Yeah.
Get with it.
Yeah. But Hobie is the realest character in the whole movie, bar none. Dude was jacking shit as soon as he was walking up in the Spider Society base, just to make sure Gwen was clutch.
He would say his little radical words and wisdom on the low.
Capitalist.
Yeah.
Scooby Doo. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, he seemed to know that Miguel was an issue from the jump.
Before we even got there, because when Miles first met up and he was like, I want to be part of the team, he was like, no, you don't. And he was like, this ain't what you want, blood.
Right.
He was like, this ain't what you want, young blood. I'm telling you right now.
He was the first one to be like,
give him the shoulder touch, you know. Like, look, bro. I'm telling you right now, this ain't it. You ain't, no, these ones. And that's when we gonna get to these other ones, because he was the only one who really showed the realness and the understanding of what these deeper motives was. I wonder if he knew about the whole setup that Gwen and Peter B pulled on Miles to get him there so he could like let his dad die. But speaking of, let's hop on Gwen. She got some redeeming to do, bro.
Hey, you're gonna have to do just pure redeeming. Yeah. On this third movie.
Yeah.
Just pure redeeming.
There better not be no missteps from Gwen in Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Because she did our boy dirty out there.
Real dirty. She flirted with him, showed out, acted like she was putting moves on, and she was really just in his universe on business, not doing her business.
Not doing it.
Fooling off, screwing up.
Failing the mission.
Getting him, pulling a setup on him for figuring out that we knew the whole time that her and Peter B were in on it, pretty much. She got issues, and like I have this much sympathy, which is next to none, because of her dad. Because I don't like her dad. Her dad
not cool.
Put being a police over being her dad real quick.
Terrible.
Like it didn't take him that long from like the shock of finding out that his daughter was Spider-Woman before he put the tool on her and said you got the right read her Miranda rights.
So did getting in and talking about one of our other antagonists of the movie, Miguel,
Mhm.
Spider-Man 2099. He definitely fulfilled the problematic character role
Mhm.
extremely well.
Yeah. I think that this Miguel specifically is a straight up hard-lined example of how the like false allyship and anti-blackness, especially with non-black POC as opposed to just white people, and where they align when you look at how Gwen and Peter B straight up sold out they homie. I mean, like they're the only people that Miles actually knew when he got there, and the only other person who had his back was Hobie. Not even Jessica Drew, because you still always
Nope.
have one of those. Because she was one of my biggest disappointments in this movie, character
Hey
wise.
man, she had that baby come through. She was like, "Oh, you trying to mess up the program too much, bro."
Okay,
That's what she was on. I still don't like it
I
or
can't because
appreciate
I'm
it.
not a parent. You're a father, so I can't speak on
I
that.
still don't like it or appreciate it.
Okay, I think Miguel was drawn as a bigger villain than the spy because we have so much more. There's so much more exposition on Miguel than we do the spot. All we see the spot do is travel different universes. That little goofy ass ATM hit, and his origin story, which connects this movie somehow to everything
Right.
everywhere all at once with the bagels.
But at the end, we do kind of see the larger setup that he's like, "Oh, I found a way to become stronger,
Hmm.
and I am going to use that strength to legit ruin or attempt to ruin Miles'
Yeah.
life." He respected, so now he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna give you a reason to respect me."
Yeah, and Spider Bite, even though we didn't see much of her, She still became part of the main character crew by also being one of the only people to help Miles.
Made
One
an
of the
active and
one
conscious
of the
choice.
two
Yeah.
who both happen to be dark skinned black people,
Hmm.
because you can't always trust
Hmm.
them light skinned niggas neither.
um, looking at Miles' parents, they were cool. I mean, I think they fulfill the parental role very well. I think they also do a good job of kind of showing you, again, the very real hesitancy that Miles will have in, kind of unveiling or unmasking, telling him that massive secret. That
That's
is
part
a
of the story that's really coded that I don't think that audiences are picking up on,
right,
because it's different for Peter Parker than it is for Miles when his parents or his when his well, Miles' parents versus Aunt May finding out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man versus Miles' parents finding out that he's Spider-Man, because in a non-white household it's going to be a different story when they figure out their son is the one not doing. See, they're going to be, how am I going to put this? People are going to be worried about Peter Parker just taking it too far or something like that, or been worried about basically a skewed public opinion, a wrong public opinion, and they're going to use that against him. But Miles already black, and his parents are, that's on their mind already. So if they figure out that he's the new Spider-Man, not only is he going to think, he might have been the one that
right.
killed the
The
Prowler,
uncle, yeah.
the uncle, because they don't. His dad still doesn't know it was Kingpin. They're also going to be like, "Whoa, my son is the one putting his life at risk like this." Hell no.
Yeah.
That's part of the story, and that's what we're basically trying to say with this video is there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. Some opinions would probably be along the lines of, "Oh, it's trying to insert too much wokeness or stuff," when they have on Gwen's bedroom, there's a protect trans kids poster, and a lot of people on Reddit and shit are saying like,
Yeah,
this means that
that
Gwen is trans, and I'm like, no, it doesn't, and she's
man,
not.
man, folks been running with that, but okay,
Just like folks been running with the Gwen, Miles, and Hobie love triangle, bro. If you really just watch that movie, you cannot say that's a love triangle. That's literally part of the story with the coming of age shit. When that's how a 15-year-old is gonna feel if his crush has been swanging around with a cool ass
Older,
nigga.
right? You know,
He's like, the jealousy is understandable. I mean,
very
he's
common
15.
scene.
Yeah. And, he's got what a lot of people don't have by, being Spider-Man, which I think he might think that's pretty much an amalgamation of what makes him cool as Miles. But this motherfucker got that and a guitar. So,
Yeah,
he might get a little jealous, but I don't think if you watch Hobie has way too much sense to be involved with something like that. They didn't paint him to be that careless.
true.
That's what you said earlier, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They did. Let's cut to the chase. How do we feel about this movie? I don't speak for him. I won't speak for me. This is the definition of an S tier movie, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. Oh no, completely. I have no disagreements there. Everything from the Easter eggs to
Crushed it.
how animation was used, the
Crushed
different
it.
art styles, those art styles not being well used on screen before, like not been done that good. It's been tried, but
Right.
using comic panels as frames and stuff like that. They tried that before, but it didn't come. It ain't come out like it came out on this one.
This was the most well done attempt at it for sure.
And the Easter eggs going between mediums, insane.
The insane amount of Easter eggs. They knew that we liked them, so they gave them to us.
This movie canonized video games, comics, live action films, animated series, animated movies,
I mean,
live action series with Loki. I mean, like
it's
overarching
just
MCU,
a true
old
joy
Spider-Verse,
to watch.
new Spider-Verse, Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man the Animated Series. There was a T-Rex. I haven't even read that. I've read a lot of Spider-Man. I haven't read the one with the T-Rex. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I think that this one, even though we're been calling it MCU movie, but let's, for the sake of this part, say that it's outside of the MCU and highlight that it's doing with MCU storytelling what the MCU has failed to do. No Way Home was good. I'm not gonna call it mid, but it wasn't S tier for me.
No.
We had a video come out called The Spider-Man Problem, and No Way Home kind of created the Spider-Man problem by giving us too much of the same thing over and over again. We didn't get much new exposition. There's not enough grounded storytelling for the MCU Peter Parker, and there's too much unfinished storytelling for one or both of the other ones in a normal way on this movie, like a straight up genuine cliffhanger, whereas opposed we just straight up left hanging with a lot of that other stuff.
Yep.
And this one, and I include the MCU in that because outside of Loki blowing the multiverse wide open, we got to see a little bit of it in What If, and they didn't even really touch on that version of it in No Way Home or Multiverse of Madness. What we saw in Multiverse of Madness to me was not a very multiversal story.
No.
We really only spent time in two different universes. We had some different ones peppered in between there, but we were in what we call 616, which I'm going to continue to call 199999999999999 and 838. But I think that this particular movie blew that out of the water. They literally canonized the MCU by talking about the MCU's multiversal sacred timeline breaking apart by showing the same thing from Loki, and then showing the Spider-Verse separating out of that. So all of this is how you connect all the properties. Marvel, I hope y'all are paying attention, and James Gunn, I hope you are too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it really was just an awesome watch just to sit there and be entertained and see it go down. The theater I was at, at the end when it came to the cliffhanger ending, it caught everybody off guard, and hearing everybody's reaction, that's something you don't see a lot in a lot of the movies you go to, but it's that whole sense that everybody was really that invested. That carried through. That shows how much the movie was captivating everybody, and it also shows that there's going to be a lot of anticipation for the third one. But for this one, I mean, it has to be said, there were super high expectations for this movie. The
Hmm.
first one, Into the Spider-Verse, was an amazing movie. And so often, sequels never live up to the greatness of the first one. But I personally think that with this situation, with Across the Spider-Verse, it has bucked the trend. This is actually better than the first Miles
Yeah,
joint.
we already told you it's the best thing so far in 2023. The only thing coming close is really Guardians 3. Quantum Mania had a lot more storytelling to do. It was good,
It's
but
good, but it
it's
really had to be more like a prologue.
and that's like Caleb said, for a sequel to really, because see, the first one was like a test run to see if they can get away with what they was finna get away with in this one, and this one they just put their foot on that gas pedal for real with everything. I'm talking about storytelling, the comic book movie tropes,
Yeah,
all that shit.
yeah,
This is
they
like,
let it all hang out.
yeah, yeah, like this thing I'm gonna put in here too. I need everybody to shut up when they see the Spider-Man meme, the pointing. There's people talking about it's overdone now. You've seen it done twice on screen recently. Be quiet.
Just
It is not overdone. That's not what that means. You're looking at a Spider-Man movie talking about something else being overdone. Come on now, bro.
yeah. Don't try to be the guy. The contrarian dude is never cool. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know where y'all
Come
get that
on.
from or why y'all think that's the case, but yeah, this movie is fire, and all of us here at the Academy, I know for sure, we're gonna be counting down the days till the third one drops.
As a DC Comics fan, I am more anxious to see the third Spider-Verse movie than I am the Flash.
Agreed.
Not more than Sandman season 2 though.
Agreed.
What are we thinking that we're going to see in between this movie and the next movie? Because when does Madam Web come out? That's going to have to play into the narrative of this. Because if they're going this hard with one film, that means that Sony's trying to drop some gangbusters. We've heard rumors of a live action Miles Morales being on the horizon, but we don't have much stock to that.
I personally believe that we are going to be getting a live action Miles, and I believe that the third movie will kind of create a segue, if you will, for that to be the case. That's my personal thought, is that the third movie is going to play a significant role in how we get a live action Miles running around these parts.
Okay, so the date for Beyond the Spider Verse is supposed to be 2024, and they don't have a month or a date or a numbered date attached to that. And the date for Madam Web is supposed to be February 2024. So I don't. Do you think they would put out another Spider Verse movie before Madam Web? I
No,
think, and Madam Web is a multiversal character.
no. I mean, that's how I
So this has to
see
have like some kind
Madam
of bearing
Web
on it.
dropping, and then I. This is just me. I'm predicting that we're probably going to see Miles drop around like the end of spring, beginning of summertime, much like this one did.
So, do you think that Madam Web will likely play into Beyond the Spider Verse?
I mean, the way they've been doing things with this, quite possibly.
Yeah, the way this one just went, I don't see how they wouldn't.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I don't put anything past them. Anything is possible.
Yeah, and do we think? I know I don't think Craven will. I think Craven might have a little bit more to do with Madam Web when that comes out. I'm not really interested in that. Once again, who asked for a Craven movie? Nobody. Just like same people who asked for a Morbius movie, a Booster Gold TV show, and a Blue Beetle movie. We are not out here. But I do think that Madam Web will sort of play. I want to really see what's going down with Madam Web because
It's still not a lot of info. Come,
yeah,
if
I
you
don't know how
will.
you tell a self-contained Madam Web story. So I want to know what that's got to have something like this movie had going on. I think that it has really big implications on the MCU coming forward, specifically with Kang and Loki stuff. I mean, they showed it, and there's the only things talking about it, and the only real hints we have to multiversal and timeline different dimension activity have been overarching, culminating story wise. What I'm saying is these are Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home are both self-contained stories to me. They didn't have much multiversal narrative outside of some cool Easter eggs of legacy actors.
No, agreed. Yeah, hey, you're not wrong.
Yeah. So I want to know what this movie and the next one has on the overarching multiverse implications, because is it going to have something? What does Beyond the Spider Verse mean? Where are they headed? Because Beyond the Spider Verse does it mean beyond Sony? Because we've been beyond, like, we haven't been beyond the Spider Verse in the MCU in terms of something outside of Spider Man being mentioned in a Spider-Man movie. Reason is I think the loophole with Donald Glover and Doctor Strange being able to be parts of this movie, even if it's just being mentioned in passing or full on live action cameo appearances. Those were Sony movies that those were a part of. You know, No Way Home was a Sony movie. Homecoming with Donald Glover in it as the Prowler was a Sony movie. So I don't think, as far as them still mentioning the MCU, we've been beyond the Spider Verse yet. So do we go into MCU proper and see some Kang multiversal activity? We're gonna see some of this in Secret Wars.
I think so.
You think so?
I believe so. And
Something.
I personally theorizing and believing it now. I personally believe live action Miles will be in Secret Wars.
He's a big part of the new 2015 Secret Wars storyline, isn't he?
He indeed
This
is.
is how he gets to the main universe.
It is indeed him and Peter Parker are a huge part of fixing things in
Okay.
that Secret Wars and in defeating Doctor Doom.
Okay.
So now that we've wrapped up our thoughts and our review of Across the Spider Verse, you know what time it is. It's time to let us know what you thought about this spectacular production.
Give
Hit
us
us up in the comments.
give us your opinions and your opinions on our opinions.
Yeah, keep doing that. If you haven't already, hit us up on our socials. Hit us up on that Facebook group.
Yeah, we got a lot of activity going on over there.
A lot of activity in the Facebook group. People be sharing some wild memes, and also we really be doing a good job of staying up to date with all the latest kind of pop culture news, video games, anime,
Yeah.
whatever. You know,
That's our form of discussion is the Culture Core Academy Facebook group. It is an open group, so invite yourself and join. Also, look for our short form content on our other socials like Instagram and TikTok. You can find our TikToks in the Reels section on Facebook and Instagram, as well as on the YouTube Shorts.
but until then, we at the Academy are gonna check out for the day. I'm Caleb. This is Ping, and until next time, class dismissed.